because we are in the middle of another winter storm warning, and I just came inside from shoveling and blowing out the entire driveway. Normally I wouldn't clear the driveway in the middle of a winter storm. This one's not supposed to end until tomorrow night, and we're supposed to get over a foot of snow, maybe even up to 18 inches. And normally I wouldn't snow blow the driveway until the end of the storm, but I keep getting notifications on my phone from like Amazon and UPS and FedEx that just about every single one of the last of my Christmas presents are gonna be delivered today. I knew that if I didn't go out there and clear out the driveway for them and shovel off the walkway and everything to the door, that they either would get stuck in my driveway or they would be really upset with me. Even though the storm is far from being over, it had to be done. So since we're buried in snow again, today is the perfect day for me to finally get my Christmas decorations up and done. So I currently have our main Christmas tree down here in the living room, dining room area. This is a 9-foot faux fraser that's real lifelike, and I've got that all decorated. This tree is more or less our pretty tree, and I like to decorate it in all kinds of like pine cones and bells, and a lot of our ornaments are woodland creatures. Even though it's kind of different, I always top it with a pheasant. So that's kind of our main tree that we have downstairs, and then we were able to go on Sunday as a family to the local tree farm and cut down a fresh tree. Every year when we're cutting down a Christmas tree, if there's enough snow, somehow we end up having a very friendly family snowball fight. Because we've had so many things going on, we haven't had any time as a family to decorate that tree. So it currently has lights on it, but other than that, it's still naked. So since we're in a blizzard and we're not going anywhere, I thought today would be the perfect day to finally finish up the last little bits of decorating. I've already gone to the attic, gathered everything that I think I'm gonna be using this year, and brought it in here. Other than, oh, I have one more thing to grab. Years ago, my brother was out antiquing and he found a vintage sleigh seat that was made out of wood, and it's not huge. It's probably like a 1.5 size seat, but he texted me, do you want this? And I said, well, yeah, I've looked at that before. It was at a local antique shop and it was so far out of my price range. And then he said that they had lowered the price and he would grab it for me if I wanted it, which of course I did. So he grabbed that for me, and I love setting that up by the door. It's not very big and it just sits on the floor really perfectly, and that way when any kids come over, they can sit on it and take their snowy boots off by the door. So I do have to go back up to the attic to grab that one last thing. So I've got some ribbon here. I've already used one of the rolls pretty much all the way up on tying ribbon for the runner sleds outside on the porch, but I still have another one. This is so pretty. It's a rich red velvet, and there's no wire in this. I'm gonna use this over in the kitchen on my 2 pendant lights. I thought it would look nice to add faux cedar sprigs and then tie it off with this ribbon. I also grabbed a bunch of my deep red candlesticks and a couple that are electric. I'm not sure where I'm gonna be using everything. Also, my daughter brought home some of these little tea lights, which I love to use in little jars just to give a glow, but these are really cool because they're beeswax and they're made by a local family. I'll probably end up using those somewhere. Kleenex box I gotta tuck away. And I almost forgot, but MaCenna from the YouTube channel Exo MaCenna sent me a couple of her new Auden Lueur candles, and I wanted to get those out for Christmas because they are so pretty and they smell absolutely incredible. I'm not at all a candle person. Years and years and years ago, I switched to essential oils because we don't have a fireplace, and there's nothing quite like a really pretty glow of a flickering flame, whether that be in a fireplace or actual real candles lit, especially at the holidays when it's so cold outside and so snowy. These smell so good. So I'm definitely gonna be setting these out for Christmas just so we can have that cozy glow. I absolutely cannot wait to move into the home that we're building because I will have fireplaces in there that I'll be able to decorate the mantels with. But for now, this shelf that I built years ago works great. It gives me the same feel because I can hang garland on it and all of our stockings on it and decorate it kind of in the same way that you would a fireplace. I'd like it to be a lot fuller, so I'm gonna go grab more garland and maybe some eucalyptus and fill it in and make it really full. So last year I did add red faux berries to my garland, and this year I'm gonna try adding a few of these in instead of the berries and see how that looks. Now that I've got all that red added, I think what I'm gonna do is go clip a few of the boughs that I have saved out in the garage so I can make a wreath out of them. And I think what I'm gonna do is go get just a few of them and add them to this. That way I have that fresh pine smell in the house. And since it's up on the shelf, if it does get a little bit dried out before Christmas, it's not gonna fall and make a mess. Our stockings are pretty heavy. They are a knitted stocking and they're quite long actually, and they're fully lined. So I'm gonna go grab a drill and 4 screws and I'll be right back. So here is the sofa in our main living room, and I'm gonna change out these pillow covers for some Christmas pillow covers. The one that I have for this one is knitted and it's like a cozy sweater. I love it. The other thing that I did on this wall was I swapped out my painting for this painting. This is actually a print. So I downloaded this off of Etsy and then I had it printed on canvas, which usually costs me around $5, $6 for the digital download, and then anywhere between like 20 to 30, depending on what size of painting I get printed. This one here is a 24 by 36. I thought it would look really pretty in my antique frame that I have here. The next thing I want to do is choose some candles for these. I'll do my electric candles because obviously I don't want to light candles on a shiplap wood wall. And I think what I'll do is grab some greens and some ribbons and tie the ribbons and the greenery on both of these. Here are the pendant lights that are over the island in the kitchen. So I'm gonna take some greens and I'm gonna tie them on there with velvet ribbon and see how that looks. And then I know I'm not gonna have time today, but as you can see, the door into the garage right there has my fall wreath on it. I'll take that down tomorrow and I'll make a fresh wreath to replace that with. So it is starting to get dark. I don't know if you can tell, it's such a snowy, blizzardy day anyway, but the cottage feels so cozy now that I have everything decorated for Christmas. The only thing I have left to do is I really want to make a fresh Christmas wreath. Decorating for Christmas is so much fun. It brings me so much joy. And ever since Thanksgiving, it has just been snowing and snowing and snowing. So it's been really easy to get in the Christmas spirit. It just hasn't been quite as easy to carve out time to put up all the decorations. So we'll probably end up leaving them up a little bit longer than normal because I put them up so late, which is great. We can enjoy them even longer, probably at least through the new year. I'm gonna let you guys go and I'll pick this video back up tomorrow morning because we're gonna be snowed. So I'll see you guys in the morning. Morning guys, so it's another really snowy day here. I'm getting ready to make a wreath. So I've got everything decorated for Christmas, finally. And the last thing I wanted to do is make a wreath. And I collected a lot of these little boughs off the bottom branches of the Christmas tree that we cut. And we also gathered some. I was just outside in the greenhouse getting all of the clippings that I had saved, and also I needed to grab my paddle wire, the floral wire that I'm gonna use to make the wreath, and my snips. And we have so much snow that when I went out there, I put on my shorter boots, and as I was running towards the greenhouse, I ran into a really big drift that was over my knees, and all of that snow went down into my boots. So I'm not sure how many feet have accumulated out there, but the drifts are definitely starting to get really big. So I've got all of these boughs, and I do have more out there if I need to go clip some. And the other thing I grabbed was a drop cloth that I use for painting. I'm gonna use this to keep my counter clean, hopefully. So I'm gonna lay this down on the counter. I've also grabbed 2 different sizes of wreath forms. I think I wanna make the larger size to hang on the front door. If I have enough time, maybe I'll make a second one and I'll hang this on the side door. I also grabbed a whole bunch of pine cones. I've got some dried eucalyptus here and some dried sprig. This is the burgundy red that I added over on my shelf. I'm gonna incorporate both of these into my wreath. I've got my paddle wire and my snips. And maybe I'll use my hot glue gun to secure some of these pine cones once I have the entire wreath made. So I grabbed this just in case. So I'm gonna move this all down a little bit and cover up my countertop here. So I have my wreath form here. I've got my paddle wire, and to get started, I'm gonna thread this wire in around the wreath and just kind of twist it around itself. That way it'll be really secure when I start adding my little bunches and wrapping it around. Now I'm gonna just cut all of these little branches of this eucalyptus off so I have much shorter pieces to work with. I wanted this wreath to look really whimsical and just have a woodsy, natural outdoor feel. And I'm gonna do the same thing with these red ones here. Just snip a few off. And then my greens are already cut to about the same length. All right, so now I've got my 3 little piles, and then over there I've got my pine cones. So I'm gonna add those at the end if it looks a little sparse. Making wreaths is so much fun because really you get to be creative. There really is no right or wrong way to make your bunches. I typically like to have one going up the center and then sprouting out to the side and the other one sprouting out to the other side. And then once I have my bunch of greens, I can add in the eucalyptus and this pop of red. Now that I have my first little bundle made, I'm just gonna hold on to it and rest it on my wreath form. I just take the paddle wire and wrap it around just a couple of times. And I do pull kind of tight, but not too tight.
We'll talk a cup of kindness yet for days of old lang syne. And here's a hand, my trusty friend, and here's a hand of thine. We'll talk a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. For old lang syne.
I've gone all the way around and I'm getting near where I started. So this will probably be my last bunch. So since this bunch didn't quite reach, so I am going to fill in this little gap right here with just a few more of these greens. Actually, this one would probably be perfect. Just kind of tucking it in there because I want to hide it. Now I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna take my wire here and cut it with some length left on and wrap it around my wreath form a couple of times and make sure that it's really secure. Obviously, I want to be really careful that I don't pull too hard and snap the wire. I just want to pull hard enough that it's tight. Now I have to decide if I'm going to add in some of these cones. Oh yeah, I definitely want to, but I think what I'll do, instead of trying to wire these in, I'm just gonna plug in my hot glue gun here and use this to attach all the pine cones. The pine cones I have are an assortment of all different sizes and shapes. So I think I'm gonna start with the largest ones and put them where it feels like there's a little bit of a hole, like here and here. So I have the wreath all finished, and I used some wire to create a hook. I'm gonna hang it on the door using that, and then I'm gonna put ribbon over it. But I don't want to just rely on the ribbon to hold it up because we do get pretty high winds and snowstorms. Hopefully this keeps it a lot more secure, and then the velvet ribbon will cover it up. I'm so excited I got that done today. I am officially now all decorated for Christmas. I'm just gonna take a few minutes to clean up my massive mess that's in there, and then I'll give you guys a little tour around the cottage. For our family, it wouldn't be Christmas without two things: a real Christmas tree and of course our nativity set. This year I decided to put it on top of the pantry, just under the shelf that I decorated. I've also got some vintage skates hung on the wall and our wooden shovel. The vintage sleigh I set under the Christmas tree right next to the front door. I think one of my favorite things that I did that I've never done before is just add a little bow and some greens to these pendant lights in the kitchen. It just added a little something to this really small and kind of plain kitchen, as well as adding the snowshoes up above the sink. I was able to swap out all the pillow covers, tie some velvet bows on all of our brass candlesticks, as well as hang up some prints of sleigh rides and lean my skis against the wall in the corner. And I decorated the dining table with just a simple green and red plaid runner, a few candlesticks, a little centerpiece that I made last year, and then I added in these antlers that my father-in-law found them in his field, and he cleaned them and gave them to me to use as decor because he knows how much I love nature and wildlife. Before I go, I just want to wish all of you a very Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday season.